Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Magick Witchcraft and Occultism. This is episode 8, part 1 on accounting and journals. Now, last time I said I was going to do this in about 5 parts, and I quickly realized I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm going to have to probably extend it to upwards of 7 or 8, but that's okay. You get more information for your personal research. So, let us begin. There are at least 3 major journals most practitioners will generally utilize throughout their magical practices, and they are your magical journal, your dream journal, and your meditational journal. And then there are also 4 other journals most people would generally consider to be minor journals, depending on your magical practice and your research and where that takes you. These journals can be as specific or as non-specific as you like. Remember, they are only tools for you to use as you see fit. But also, depending on your personal opinion, what you consider to be a minor journal, I might consider to be a major one. It depends on what you're going to specialize in. Some of the minor journals are herbalism and cryptozoology, or paranormal or supernatural research, and yes, there's a difference between those two. Now, each of these journals serve the same basic purpose, and that is to take account of what you're doing. In that regard, these journals do roughly the same thing a mundane journal would, except these journals are for a uniquely esoteric topic. These journals will be a record of your practice, theoretically from the very beginning of your practice to the present day. When you go back through your journal years later, possibly for nostalgia's sake, you will get to see what you thought was so important at the time, at the very beginning of your practice, when you first started. You'll see how you hyper-focused on areas of your practice that appeared at the time to have monumental significance, but then 20 or 30 years later, those same milestones that were so difficult at the time, more than likely, most of those early lessons have already been incorporated into your everyday practice to the point you forgot how difficult those lessons were in the very beginning. And this is really normal for most people. When you really get back down to what we thought in the very beginning was so hard, how to cast a spell, why you were scared, if you didn't have the right candle or the right stone, herb or the right symbol, who knows what. I remember being in the very beginning when I was really nervous to do anything. But you get over that sort of thing as time goes on, and your journal becomes like a time capsule for yourself. So for this reason alone, it's a really good thing to keep it. But there's another really good reason why you should keep these journals, and why you should have multiple of them. We're going to go over that in just a second. These journals will become a record of your successes as well as your failures and how you overcame these obstacles at the time. At other times, on the other hand, there may have been rituals that you were trying to complete that were just simply too advanced for you at the time for any number of reasons. So instead of possibly making a monumental error that may have cost you more than you were willing to pay at the time, you decided to wait until you had all the necessary information or all the components to move forward safely with the ritual. So you may have saved all of the research notes that you've accumulated at the time in a magical journal to come back to in a few years when you found new resources or new avenues of research that led to a specific piece of information that answered one or more questions that you had at the time that you didn't fully understand earlier in your practice when you were less experienced. This is meant to illustrate a very important point. If you did not write all of this down, for example, in your magical journal, you may have forgotten about it forever and lost all of your work. Now, I know this pain. I lost the first 10 years of my journals. One of my computers fried and I lost everything. So that also brings up another good point. Back everything up if you can. Now, let's change gears slightly. You might be wondering how you transfer all your information you've collected from your journals into your grimoire, your Book of Shadows. And traditionally, all your journals can just fully encompass your grimoire or Book of Shadows. The more modern and more effective method is to take only your successes, meaning what you know worked and what you know you can rely on for the future, and place that into your Book of Shadows or your grimoire. This would also be my suggestion as well. This is mostly so the information you have gathered does not become a confusing or jumbled mess later. You want your grimoire to be sleek and easy so you can find and access all of your information with ease. I'm already slightly over my 5-minute mark, so we're going to have to pick this up later in part 2. So as always, I wish you all the best of luck with your research and go in peace.